Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback, a weekly feature of Cannon Church. I'm Tim Emmett, the senior pastor at Cannon, and on Monday mornings we connect the message from Sunday, the game of football, and the week ahead. The Redhead is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Sonny Jurgensen played for 18 years, 7 with the Eagles, 11 with the Redskins. He was ahead of his time in the dead ball era in the NFL when both the strategy and the rules all focused on the run. Sonny threw the football all over the field with pinpoint accuracy. He could throw the football like very few ever have or ever will. One of the greatest passers in NFL history. He also had one of the most notorious reputations in NFL history. He was a night person in his own words. He loved to go out, loved to drink, loved to be out late. Sometimes he'd stay out late the night before a game. On one occasion, they had a big game against the Lions. The season hung in the balance. They had to win to get into the playoffs, and Sonny got caught breaking curfew coming into the hotel at 2 a.m. The bars had just closed, and he just got home. All of that changed in 1969 when the Redskins got a new head coach, Vince Lombardi. Lombardi had won 5 championships in 7 years with the Green Bay Packers. He retired at the end of the '67 season, and after 1 year sitting on the sidelines watching the game, he realized he wasn't done coaching. The Redskins hired him, brought him in to turn their franchise around. As great as Sonny was, as explosive as their offense was, as many points as they scored, they were not a good team. They did not have a lot of talent. They didn't have a strong defense, and they didn't have a good head coach. They brought Lombardi in to turn that franchise around. Everyone wondered how the fun-loving, free-spirited quarterback and the hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach would get along, or if they would, or if the whole thing would blow up. In his first one-on-one meeting with Lombardi, Sonny said that the coach looked at him and said, "You know, I've heard a lot about you, some of it good and some of it bad. The only thing I ask of you is one thing: just be yourself. Don't emulate anyone else. Just be you." Sonny went on to have one of the great seasons of his NFL career. He led the league in passing, and the Redskins, for the first time in 15 years, had a winning record. Funny thing happened. Sonny stopped breaking curfew, stopped going out late, got into the best shape of his career. And whereas with other coaches, he'd changed the plays they called, he never did that with Lombardi. He'd later say that playing for Vince Lombardi was the greatest honor and greatest joy of his life. He said it was easy playing for Lombardi. He made the game fun. You know, the thing was that Jurgensen knew that Vince Lombardi would help him become the best player he'd ever been. He didn't ask him to be somebody else. He asked him to be Sonny, but he would help him become the best version of Sonny that he had ever been. And so he was eager to do what Vince had said. A teammate once remarked that before Lombardi came to Washington, Sonny had never really had a head coach. He'd never had a head coach who knew more about football than Sonny did. But when Lombardi walked into the room, Sonny knew this is someone I can trust, someone I can learn from, and I want to listen to. Sonny himself said that after meeting with Lombardi, he kind of felt like, I finally have a coach. On Sunday, we finished our fall sermon series, What If Love Ruled the World? And we heard Jesus challenge us not just to hear his words, admire his words, like his words, post his words, but to do what he says. If we do that, Jesus says, we'll be like a wise person who builds their house on a rock. When the storms come, the house will stand. We'll be like somebody who follows a narrow path through or a hard path through a narrow gate. And that's tough, and yet it leads to life. Jesus calls us to do what he says. Believing in Jesus means in part believing Jesus, trusting his teaching, following his call, doing what he says. And he makes clear that doing that will not make us something less than we are, other than we are. It will make us more than we've been. It will help us become the best version of ourselves, the best us that we've ever been. So what's the game plan for this week? It's a question. Who's your head coach? Somebody's your head coach. Somebody's leading you. Somebody's guiding you. Someone's calling the shots and calling the plays and setting the course. Is it Jesus? Do you trust Jesus with your living, not just with your dying? Are you listening to Jesus, trusting his teaching, believing that Jesus is not calling you to become something other than you are, someone else, someone other than who you already are, but he is making it possible through his teaching for you to become the very best version of you that you have ever been? Who's your head coach? That's the game plan for this week. I hope you have a great week.